The CCTV business has grown exponentially year on year, with more and more people looking to protect their properties. Camera systems have come a long way since the analog days, but which system should you entrust to ensure your home is well looked after? UniFi Protect perhaps? Let's put it to the test. So camera systems come in many shapes and sizes. They are the very high-end systems which you can find in large businesses with many cameras, storage locations, license plate recognition and more. Then you get the off-the-shelf ones that you can find littered on Amazon. While these do seem quite cost-effective, they typically have clunky UIs, they lack user-friendly features, and remote access is a little tricky to set up. And that's before you get to the camera quality itself, which for some systems would have looked a lot better if they were recorded on a potato. The last thing you need is for an unfortunate event to happen and the footage is unusable or not present because you cheaped out when buying a camera system. Companies like Nest have seen this gap in the market, and they make it easy for you to just connect your cameras to your home Wi-Fi and view everything on your mobile device. There is a major downside to Nest, and that is the cost factor. If you want 30 days of recording, you have to fork out $24 per month per camera. So a typical house, which in most cases has 4 sides, will need 4 cameras, taking your monthly bill alone to $96. Not to mention your videos all being uploaded and kept by Nest. Yeah, I'm not too thrilled about that either. So in my perspective, we need a camera system that has a good variety of quality cameras. It must be easy to set up and can be expanded easily with a good feature set. This is where Ubiquiti has aimed their product line, and UniFi Protect in particular. One thing to bear in mind that with camera systems, there are quite a few moving parts. While I'm going to try my best to explain some of these concepts in this video, you should consider each of them when doing your setup. But essentially, there are 3 things that you need. Cameras, well, obviously. Then you need something to view and record the camera feeds, and this can be referred to as a network video recorder or NVR. Lastly, everything will need power and network connectivity as well, which can be accomplished using a PoE or Power over Ethernet switch. So let's take a look at how they all fit together. At the heart of it all is the new CloudKey Gen 2 Plus. It is a massive overhaul from the first generation and is by far one of the best looking devices, not just networking wise, I mean technology wise, that I've ever seen. I mean, just look at it. Sorry, I realize I must be overly geeking out here, but damn, it's a looker. It's got an LCD screen on the front, which displays the status of the CloudKey and any of the connected devices. On the rear, we have a power and reset button, a micro SD card slot for backups, a PoE port, and 2 USB Type-C ports. PoE stands for Power over Ethernet, so this device is PoE enabled, or it can be powered via the USB-C port. The front also houses the tray for the included 1 TB hard drive, which can be upgraded for up to 5 TB. Bonus points here for the hard drive replacement being completely toolless. The CloudKey Gen 2 Plus in particular has 2 purposes. It can be used as a unified controller, which can provision your entire wired and wireless networks. To set up a UniFi network requires some technical know-how, but there is a massive online community which can help you from purchase to implementation if you'd like to adopt UniFi for your home's networking needs. This CloudKey also hosts UniFi Protect, which is what we're going to be focusing on here, and it is the central place for all your site's cameras. So the CloudKey in our instance acts as the NVR. Everything gets configured from here, and all the recordings are stored and played on it through UniFi Protect. While you can connect as many cameras as you want, Ubiquiti say you'll get the best experience with up to 20 cameras. And on the subject of cameras, now we need some. And here Ubiquiti has some excellent options. Which ones you choose are really going to depend on your setup. They have both indoor and outdoor cameras, right up to a 4K resolution. Generally speaking, you'd put the bullet style cameras on the outside and use the dome style ones indoor. Ubiquiti also have some indoor cameras like the Flex and the Micro. The Micro being around the size of a golf ball and having Wi-Fi capability as well. Now again, which cameras you choose are going to be dependent on your budget and use case. There's no real one-size-fits-all solution. So use these general guidelines and check out the specs on their site before making a purchase. The majority of the cameras are powered via Ethernet, which is the best way to run a camera system. Wi-Fi might be a little more convenient, but cable will always be the best option. A few tips here. Make sure your cables are protected with something like PVC pipe, or use an outdoor rated cable. You can also use your existing drainage for your cable runs to keep things nice and neat. For best results, use a single switch, which you can get from Ubiquiti as well, to connect all your cameras and your CloudKey. This will ensure minimal bottlenecks and the cleanest experience. If running cables is not your thing, you can always get a cabling company to run the cables for you, and you can do the software setup yourself to help save some money. PoE saves you having to run both network and power separately, as they both get delivered through the same network cable. Once you have your cameras mounted and cables run, it's time to set everything up. Now, I have installed camera systems before, and this used to require a lot of time. This step kind of caught me off guard. Start to finish, you're looking at 1 minute 21 seconds. I'm not kidding, I was really taken aback by this. How on earth did they manage to make it so easy? Simply download the UniFi Protect app from the App or Play Store. The Cloud Key has Bluetooth, so it will make its initial connection using that. Now give a name to your Cloud Key and choose if you want it to be accessible via the cloud. Now all you have to do is add some cameras. The app will detect any of them that are connected, and voila! You can give your cameras descriptive names if you want and let them do some firmware updates as well. This is all you need to do. Still shocked at how ridiculously easy that was, by the way. The app basically has 4 sections: cameras, activity, users, and settings. To view the live feed and recordings, you go to, well, you guessed it, the camera section. All your camera feeds are displayed live with an indicator of when each of them last detected some activity. Clicking on a camera is where UniFi Protect really shines, and UniFi referred to this as time-lapse. The camera's live feed and recording is displayed in a timeline with kind of screenshots showing you where there was activity. You're able to pinch in and out to change the timescale, as well as scrub through to find events throughout time. This is where many manufacturers fall short, not just while finding an event, but scrubbing through on other vendors can be excruciating. But with that octa-core processor in the Cloud Key and the effort Ubiquiti have put in, UniFi Protect absolutely nails this piece. This functionality alone pays for itself. The timeline will also show you if your camera's lost or regained its network connection to help you know if there was any drops in connection. Other strong points when it comes to time-lapse is its versatility in some of the tools it provides. You can take a snapshot of a frame, delete a clip, and my favorite, export it straight to your phone. The export tool allows you to select a start and end point, and even has little thumbnails of where the start and end points were in the feed. The fact that it gets sent straight to my camera roll is just brilliant, as the clip can now be used however I want, like emailing it, forwarding it on WhatsApp or whatever. Brilliant. If you own one of the micro cameras which has two-way audio, you can just press the mic button and speak into your phone and it will play on the micro speaker. There is also a swathe of settings per camera that you can tweak. There's everything from creating motion and privacy zones to setting your brightness and contrast and the microphone volume. You also set your overlays here, so if you want to include the time and camera name in the video, you can do that from here. The motion and privacy zones are well thought out. So if there was an area on screen that you didn't want recorded, you simply add a privacy zone. The way you add a privacy zone is just using your phone's touchscreen, and you drag which part of the video should be blacked out. You can add multiple privacy zones and create weird shapes. So if you wanted to create a rhombus, you can most certainly make yourself a rhombus. If you only wanted your camera to track motion and alert you in certain zones, you can use the motion zones feature. It works similar to privacy zones, so if you had a camera on your driveway and didn't want it to flag your neighbor's car going in and out, you can create a motion zone just on your driveway alone. The activity screen is where you can find a collection of any events that happened on your system. So if you wanted to go to a specific date and see what happened on that day, this is the tab you'd go to. The nice thing is that if you click on any event, it will take you straight to that place on the time lapse where that event happened. This makes navigation a cinch. Yep, I really like that. The Users tab allows you to invite people to view your camera system and give them different levels of access. It's fantastic that you can create different custom roles and assign only specific cameras to a specific role. So for example, if you wanted to give someone access to all the outdoor cameras only and not give them access to the indoor ones, you can do that. Another great feature is that your cameras are also accessible through a web browser. There's some added functionality in the web UI, like creating different views which can be shared again with other users. I like the fact that the Events tab has a slide-out window which allows you to download events, and you can restart and manage your cameras or from within the web UI as well. The web UI is really important because you may want to permanently display your cameras in your house. Now you can just use anything that supports a modern web browser like Chrome and have your cameras on full screen open all the time. Many other manufacturers force you to use their proprietary apps, which often means you'd have to go out and purchase like a cheap Android tablet to have your cameras on display. That's why having this functionality is so important if you want proper monitoring. In terms of camera recording, you get around 1600 hours of footage. The cameras are not recording based on motion and they record all the time. So if you use the stock 1 terabyte drive and you have 3 cameras, you get about 20 days worth of recording. It's worth noting that there is no redundancy, so if the drive inside the Cloud Key dies, you may have to recover your footage somehow. I don't think this is a problem for the target market as compared to someone like a bank, for example, but it would be nice to be able to archive footage to a NAS or external drive in the future. As much as I love UniFi Protect, there are some issues. Now, I may come across like I'm being a little hard on Ubiquiti, but I know how involved they are with their community, and I know they will take all of these considerations on board. So all the problems I've had are software related, which is a good thing because it means fixes are much easier to implement compared to a hardware fault. First, there's a little bug when clicking on an event from the Events tab within the app, in that the export and snapshot functionality doesn't really open up anything. This means you'd have to go back to the time lapse from the home screen and find that spot manually if you wanted to export or take a snapshot. A little annoying, but there is a workaround and this should be an easy fix. I don't like the fact that the processing animation is behind the speaker button, but again, this is an easy fix. And last of the small ones, it'll be nice to have a carousel in the live view so that cameras can be rotated from within the web UI. The bigger ones for me, unfortunately, is that the user roles aren't as elaborate on the web interface as they are on the app. I'd like to lock down users in the web UI more compared to the app. I think this is important for any browser that's left logged in permanently to view the cameras. But my biggest concerns is the alerts. Don't get me wrong, they're brilliant in terms of getting a notification when there's motion on one of my cameras, but the alerts don't have a schedule yet. So during the day, of course, there's going to be motion throughout the house, and I don't need to know about that. This means my notifications kind of get flooded on my phone throughout the day, and it's just not usable. What I have to do is manually turn this feature off during the day and remember to toggle it back on at night. Until scheduling times for alerts is available, I just find it a little difficult to use. I do like that clicking on the alert opens up the app and takes me straight to the camera where that alert happened, and I can see in the web UI that there is a column called when to send for alerts, so I know that they're thinking about this feature, but I hope it gets implemented soon. So that's all the not so good things really, and I'm really glad it's all to do with the software. In fairness, they are playing a lot of catch up, and I get that they wanted all the core features available first. I'd rather have that working properly and wait for things like facial recognition, etc. These are all perfectly rectifiable, so I'm not even going to dock them a point. So is the system any good? Well, if you haven't guessed it by now, I think you know what I'm going to say. This has changed the way I see camera systems altogether. The Cloud Key Gen 2 Plus is just exceptional value for money. All the gear is made with exceptional quality and aesthetic that Ubiquiti is known for. The price points are spot on, and the software, even though it has a few rough edges, is just such a pleasure to use. Ubiquiti has taken a high-end solution that would have needed some technical know-how and made it very consumer-friendly. That in itself is such a difficult thing to do. But I mean, a 1-minute setup just speaks for itself. It plays nicely with your current browser setup, and there's no fancy port forwarding that you need to do, and in just a few simple steps you can have yourself a scalable, robust, dare I say it, gorgeous camera setup. There's no ridiculous monthly fees. All the data belongs to you and is not getting sent out of your premises, giving you complete privacy. And in the future, if you want to run a full UniFi setup, you can do that without having to buy another controller. Out of all the Ubiquiti equipment I've installed and used over the years, UniFi Protect as a whole has just smashed it. Well done. So I know this was longer than I normally blabber on for, but there were a lot of things to cover. If you're feeling up for it, a like on the video is appreciated, dislikes too, and don't forget we read all the comments, so let us know your thoughts and if there's any other tech out there that you'd like us to review. See ya.